Hello, class and professor. I'm here today to talk to you about shoplifting. As we know, shoplifting is a very big problem in America. Shoplifting affects more than the offender. It overburdens the police and the courts, adds to a store's security expenses, costs, consuming more goods for goods, costs communities lost dollars in sales, taxes, and it also hurts children and their families. Not all shoplifters are the same type. There are actually two distinct types of shoplifters. There are also many ways to prevent shoplifting. The consumer is affected in a few different ways because of shoplifting. For the consumer who shoplifts, which is usually a teenager or a senior citizen, the laws affect them. No shoplifter would never get caught, even though that is what most believe. As shoplifters steal for long periods of time, and their shoplifting progresses as they start to steal bigger and more expensive items more frequently. As time goes, they start to become involved with car shopping, stealing cars, breaking into houses, etc., etc. Shoplifting has a consequences, which vary from getting your parents called and all the way to large amounts of jail time. Even people who accompany shoplifters are in danger. For being with a shoplifter is almost as bad as being there actually shoplifting yourself. That is why it is important to stay away from people who are shoplifters. If it's your friend who is shoplifting, the best is to try to get them to stop. You could do this by telling them not to, reminding him of the consequences, or even threatening to call the authority if it has to come down to that. If someone ever asks you to steal, you should know the answer is no way, no how. Because getting in trouble with the law will mess up your entire life. For the consumer who doesn't know, who does not shoplift, they have a problem of always being suspected. Because of shoplifting, some stores in my area do not allow minors to enter without an adult. Many stores will ask you if you are going to pay for that. It becomes quite annoying when store owners hound you while you are shopping or ask you to leave if you are taking too long when you are actually there just browsing. Shoplifters affect the store owner heavily. The number one reason for a small new business to close is shoplifting. Studies show that approximately 10% of consumers who enter the store and shoplift it is very hard to run a store when 10% of your store is stolen from you. The other factor is security equipment. It is expensive to run a security precaution in your store. Which is why so many small stores have none. When a store becomes big enough to afford good security equipment such as cameras and security surveillance or surveillance teams, then it's worth it. Security usually pays itself off from the money that they get from shoplifters. When a person is caught for shoplifting, they get expected forgiveness. Because to them, it does not seem that it's a big of a deal. The only problem that is that person is not the only one. It probably happens pretty regularly. Future store owners are affected by shoplifting. If you live in a bad area, or maybe even in an area for that matter, you are open to shoplifting. Since most future store owners are aware of the damages of shoplifting, they are discouraged from opening their own store. Shoplifting affects our economy also. The big problem is that it inflates prices. The only way a store can maintain when almost 10% of their store is being robbed is to raise their prices. It's not fair that some people can steal and others have to work hard and pay, which is the honest way. If a store has to close down, then that cuts jobs. One store may not seem like a big deal, but when stores are closing every day because they can't maintain a stable business, mainly it's because of shoplifters. It has a big influence on everybody else. The loss of jobs then accounts for more unemployed, which equals a worse economy. If a future store owner decides it is not a good idea, then this also cuts down jobs. It is estimated that in the United States, economy law loses $10 billion due to shoplifting a year. That's around $25 million a day. That is $10 billion businesses need to compensate for. Another point for why shoplifting is hurting our economy is that we have to pay out of taxes for the burden of police and also the courts. It hurts. It also hurts communities in sales taxes. There are two types of shoplifters: professional shoplifters and non-professional shoplifters. Professional shoplifters are addicts who steal to buy drugs. A drug problem, not a shoplifting problem. Or hardened criminals who steal for resale as a lifestyle. So, in conclusion, from the research I have done and from writing or giving this speech, I have learned a lot about shoplifting. One thing I found is that the internet is a very resourceful way to find out about illegal actions. There were many websites that told how to shoplift or how not to get caught. since we have the freedom of speech, there is not much we can do about this. But I think there should be a law in censoring these sites such as pornography is censored. Well, I hope that everybody learned something from these. I know I have, and I hope that everybody have a great day. Thank you for my presentation.